Christmas. Real quick, I don't know if any of you have asked, but we have a slight problem with Freddy's book. The bulk of them are sitting somewhere in a customs office in California right now. I know. So make sure you give me the heat, not the author, because it is not his fault. I will take the bullet for that one. We are waiting on them to come in any day now. So anyone who isn't able to get a book here tonight, if you want to get a signed copy, order it through our website, and we will make sure that we get Freddy to sign a bunch of them, and we'll send them out to you. So, and Freddy's got shirts, urban style shirts. I mean, we can wait for you. You're the star of the show, man. It all goes. It's about you. So you tell us.
You waiting for somebody, Dan?
Yeah, 10 more minutes. Now we can start.
All right. So basically, we're going to do a little Q&A. If anybody's got questions, we'll open it up for questions. But I want to give these guys a little chance to talk about graffiti in New York City. I also want to apologize. I am from Philadelphia, but I do want to say that I've got mad love for New York City. Always have. Every time I've come to this city, I've been treated like a king, and I love it here. Y'all have put out the best music in the history of the world, and that's New York hardcore. So, no prejudice here, no Philly rivalry here. Love yous all. So, I'm going to start it off. I'm going to ask Freddy. Freddy, the basic question. Why the hell did you do this book? What was your inspiration?
Why the hell not, right?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out here. The major inspiration is basically these guys here. JERE, Danny, SMOG, Chucky Brown. Everyone that was into graffiti and brought that influence into hardcore, into New York hardcore. And basically what the book says, urban styles, graffiti, New York hardcore, self-explanatory. That's what the book is about. I'm going to have these guys talk about their stories, how these both subcultures intertwine in the 80s, and they continue to be connected now in these days. That's all I can say.
Right on. So I'm going to open up with a question. Any one of you guys can take it. One thing I've always wondered about, and Freddy does talk about it in the book, but what is it about this city that you could have a synthesis of New York hardcore music and graffiti? Why is it only here that those two worlds could collide and inform each other and inspire each other?
It's called the MTA. You go to California and you gotta fucking drive like 3 hours just to get to, see Ill Repute, and then go to LA and see Circle Jerk. So the one thing about the beauty of New York City was there was a place to see anything. Like L'Amour's East was known for like hair metal, but sometimes they had some good bands, how you don't. But the real gist of it was just so easy just to get on a train, go to CB's, go to fucking the Ritz, go to Rock Hotel, Great Gildersleeves. It was my first show, and it was just such a beautiful way of just getting around, and that's what really I think gelled everything. And then, not to be prejudiced to you guys from Brooklyn, but Queens.
There we go.
Queens had the best bands, in my opinion.
You always gotta say that, don't you?
Always.
Yes, without doubt. No, I mean, I'm sorry for anybody who's a Biohazard fan, but I'm just. All right, I'm sorry, but I'm just.
So you know, he said that.
All right, but like Reagan Youth, fucking Token Entry.
I mean, all right.
Fucking New York Hoods, how you doing?
All right.
Crowd, yeah, fucking Wet in the Scythe. I still love that record. That's my favorite. And Major Conflict, yeah, definitely. And Urban.
What is it? What was it? Something in the water? What is it?
Well, I tell you what it was. It was called boredom. Some of us living in two fare zones. If you remember that. How you doing? Anybody remember a two fare zone? No, not many.
No, not for nothing. You're old.
I'm really old. And this is before smartphones. So we just fucking, we just had a good time, and there's so many good bands. And I think a lot of it had to do with just, I think it just had to be like a moment in time that just like these bands just kind of like blossom, and then another city has their say, but I'm glad, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm almost 50, so I mean, there's a lot of new hardcore bands out there, but you know, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not really following you guys too much. But,
I'm not either, man.
yeah, I fucking dig Ice, man. Fucking rest in peace, Carl, man. You can't, you know, those are bands that I love, but you know, but there's still a lot of good music out there. You know, it's still rocking, so keep on rocking.
Pass it over the mic to these guys.
So what's the
question?
What's the question?
Oh, the question is, why do you think New York City, man?
Well, I always saw the connection with hardcore and graffiti. When I was young, I would go to like stores like here, Generation Records, Bigger Bob's. I always check out the flyers, and I would notice that a lot of hardcore bands would have graffiti logos and whatnot, and that always caught my attention. And I would see stuff like bands like Super Touch, Sick of It All, Token Entry, and shit like that. And I would see that they would always use like different style of graffiti within their logos and whatnot, and that always caught my attention and shit like that. And then from there I would write it down on my desk at school and shit, get in trouble from the teachers and shit like that. But it was a cool thing, man.
Awesome. Right on. All right, so for Mr. EZEC, I got a question for you.
Oh boy.
Well, actually, it's for everybody, but I'm gonna initiate it with you. What did both graffiti and how did that expand your life? Finding both of these subcultures, especially once they were merged into one thing. Like, what kind of an impact did that have in your life?
Do it.
Give me that mic.
Well, when we were hanging out, we didn't stay home and look at the computer all day. So basically, we had a social network of going to hardcore shows and meeting other graffiti writers and be like, yo, listen, meet me here. And we'll do this, we'll bomb all night, and we'll go to the, oh shit, we're going to this record, come down here to a record store to see a little flyer and a little thing say, oh shit, the crowd or someone else playing is that this week. No one knew where the shows were. You had to go to the fucking record store, look at the record store, and look at like magazines or something. Village Voice. You know, which we hated at one time for some reason, because I don't know why, because we were young and we hate everything. But to me, graffiti was a chance to get away from the reality of life, of sucky-ass parents, kids on the block that were just following each other like sheep, and we want to be different. So basically, I don't want to be a Guido. I don't want to fucking go to a rave or whatever. That's later on, but I want to listen to some hardcore, and I want to be a bunch of people who really want something with soulful music. I mean, like a heart. It's all about heart. Graffiti is about heart, and so is hardcore.
Beautiful.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah, what do you want to say? Wait, add something to that?
I do. I think the thing that's interesting, I always think about like Underdog, right? You know, like, and they were the first one to have that like sort of like fucking break beat, the break beat that was like b-boy break beat. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. You know, and I think the similarity when you, because I was writing graffiti before I was into hardcore, that the similarity between the two scenes in a way was that people were like, yo, I'm hard. You know what I mean? It was like, it's kind of funny now, you know what I mean? But everybody's like, you know, they had their uniform, you know what I mean? But it made sense then, at that time. It may not make sense now, because I think it's hard to imagine, you know, everybody was a fucking, you know, like a metalhead that, you know, there was 800 guys hanging out in the schoolyard drinking cases of Budweiser every weekend and listening to fucking Van Halen. You know what I mean? It was very boring. Those people were boring. You know, it's like fucking... And you'd be like... And they didn't really represent anything but like consuming shit. You know what I mean? It was just like taking things, you know? And you're looking at some DIY scene. You don't even know at the time, but you're like, I kind of want to do something. So graffiti was a DIY thing, right? You sort of take it into your own hands and you do it. You learn how to do it. It's mysterious. Suddenly you bump into someone at the train station. They're like, yo, you write? And you're like, no, because you're an old dude. I don't know what I write. You know what I mean? It's like, and you're a little nervous. And then you meet them and then you're doing things, you know. Same with the hardcore scene, you know what I mean? Like, everybody was older. They seemed like they knew what they were doing. And even if you were a little intimidated, it didn't push you out. You know what I mean? It was like people, you know, everybody was doing something just a little bit different. You know what I mean? And no one could play their instruments great. No one could fucking, you know, draw well. You know, everybody's copying the Sunday Funnies, which no one knows what that is anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like the fucking wraparound. Yeah, right. You know, the Daily News. You know, it's like, and those things were important. You know, you're copying like Opus or fucking Snoopy or whatever. You know, it's like a fucking Beetle Bailey. You know, like, you know, it's like, yeah, with the little fish fight, it's a cloud. You know what I mean? It's like fucking with stars flying out of it. You know, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
Hagar the Horrible.
you know, like, exactly. Now, does that relate to hardcore? Of course it does. You know what I mean? It's like fucking. It's like, you know, it's like,
There should have been a band called Hagar the
It's-
Horrible.
you know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
I'm just saying.
there must have been. They probably did one song and left.
Probably.
You know what I mean? It's like, but,
They were on a compilation.
yeah, exactly. You know,
Little
Bloom
Orlando.
County, man.
huh?
Bloom County.
Yeah, Bloom County, great shit, man. You know, it's like fucking, I love that shit. But, you know, people were very serious about what they did, and they didn't care what other people thought, which was unusual. You know, that means everybody's like, I'm gonna be a fucking weirdo and fuck you, and everybody's gonna be like, you know, you're a weirdo. I'm a cousine. I'm fucking wearing capizios. I got fucking, you know, what I mean? Like, you know, like,
Playboy Jack.
yeah, exactly. It's terrible, man. The whole thing was just unimagination. That's the whole fucking thing. You know, it's like, but that's what I gotta say about it. All right.
One of the things I wanted to ask, and anybody can speak to this. Two cultures, West Coast and East Coast, and there's a vast difference in styles of graffiti.
Let Smog answer
Let's
this.
go first.
Damn!
And then
What?
Danny will
I'll
respond.
go after you.
Yeah, yeah.
Call
But
and
like maybe you can speak on that.
Well, let's Smog over it.
Well, you know, a lot of it.
Don't get me killed for asking the question. I love everybody.
Well, you know, you gotta understand, you know, Star Wars and Subway Art kind of influenced a lot of these kids, and even in the West Coast, so they all started biting us, you know. And but don't get me wrong, we bit their hardcore, you know. New York didn't really get on the map, you know, fucking till mid '80s, you know.
Yeah.
But we were still going strong, you know. We kind of just stand there at shows, and their shows were like fucking giant ballrooms, you know. And fucking just people just flying everywhere, you know. I'm intimidated now. I wasn't intimidated then, but you know, stupid then. But I think a lot of it had to do with a lot of gang related. I remember Risk coming up here, bombing with Reese and all those guys, and he hit some trains, and you know, he brought some of that flavor back to the West Coast, and you know, not to give them anything away, but then when I'm in California now, a lot of it's just like fucking obey, fuck you, you know. I'm not obeying you, fucking muralist piece of shit. I fucking hate you all, those muralists. There's nothing graffiti about a mural.
Once again, he said that.
Smog Risk.
No, but my man DSR fucking said if it's not done in 5 minutes, then it's not fucking graffiti, and it's true.
Yes, it's true.
Shout out to DSR. DSR! But the West Coast, I mean, you know, it's a vast fucking state. It's like fucking huge. We're just a fucking little... I'd be honest with you, to this day, I really don't give a shit about Staten Island's graffiti. I mean, I don't even think about it. No offense. I mean, I don't go to Staten Island, you know. I just see a lot of tourists going over there and fucking people pissed that they have to take a ferry over to Staten Island. But I'm not gonna go fucking hang out in Staten Island. Maybe I'll go to that... They got that old mental institution that closed down. Wouldn't mind hitting that.
I hit the trains underneath the tunnels underneath that.
Oh, you did? Back in the
House
day?
of Pain video, 1992.
Oh, okay. A House of Pain. What the fuck are they from fucking Pennsylvania, aren't they?
No, they're from Long Island, actually.
Oh, all right. That's
Everlast is from Long Island.
all right. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, like,
Muggs is from Flushing.
I think of Manhattan, Bronx, you know, Staten Island. We didn't even think of their train. I didn't even think of their train, right? You don't think that fucking 5 stops you can get on for free? You know what you do? It's not a real
They
train.
got like one bus, the S1.
Yeah, you know, no offense, but I'm just saying, like, like a lot of people do these freights now, and they're very big, like, oh, they're going to Maine. Like, fuck, I don't want somebody in Maine to see my shit. What, some cow fucking looking at my piece? I don't care. I'd rather see someone in New York come up to me, hey, I saw your toy shit you did the other day. Hey, it's not bad on Instagram. You got 40 likes. Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. 40 likes. I like that.
Get him,
I'm
Smog.
hoping to get 42. I don't. But the West Coast, I mean, it's so vast. It's so hard to really judge. And the music, I got to give them credit, man. Because they're just so out there, you know. And it's like these little suburban white guys, I think, white Spanish. But a lot of these guys, they don't have, like, here. If you notice, like Crown of Thorns, you guys have the influence of Chromate. You gotta maybe like them, Agnostic Front.
Those
you like.
that's the bands we grew up on.
Yeah, you guys grew up on that, right? But you know, here you are, you're fucking Sacramento. What the fuck? You just listen to Static 13. You know what I mean? Like, Thank God for Maximum Rock and Roll, Flipside, these bands, I give it to these
But
guys.
all those places hated us. Maximum Rock and Roll hated New York hardcore.
Well, Maximum Rock and Roll called Agnostic Front Skinheads. I still had that issue.
Fucking Nazis.
And Nazis, you know.
Fuck Maximum Rock.
But yeah, I know.
Fuck Maximum Rock and Roll.
But I mean, New York. I mean, thank God for Guillotine, Hard Times. That
Yes.
fucking.
Hard times. Hard times.
Thank you very much. I mean, we had a smaller knit thing, and it was just so much easier to get your influences. You go to Sunday, and before you bullshit Monday, you might bullshit, yeah.
Yeah.
And
All right. I got.
but you know what I'm saying.
I got one that'll set it off.
Damn, that was Smog, man. You're right, Smog. Give it up for Smog, man.
Give it up for Smog.
I grew up. Smog and I had beef back in the day. Our crews had beef.
Oh shit! Get around to tell, man.
But check this out. We had Smog. I looked up to Smog. All Risk Crew, Ghost, Lost, all the BYA guys.
Knocked out everyone in my crew. I mean, I'm glad we never fucking crossed.
I'm sorry about that.
All right. For the group, I'm gonna set it off with this question that I know you're all gonna love and don't hate the messenger, but what do you think of what they call street art now?
Oh, no, don't, Smog, go get him.
Yeah, let Freddy talk.
Freddy loves it. I got him.
Freddie loves it.
Street art to me is, Smog doesn't agree, but it's like continuation of graffiti. It's not traditional graffiti. It's not what we grew up on, and sometimes it's colorful
Look at him, Steve's coming.
characters that anyone can relate to, as opposed to traditional graffiti, where you need to know, like, it's a secret language. You need to know what the hell words mean, what these symbols represent. So I will say street art, it is continuation of traditional graffiti, but at the same time, it's not.
You're too nice.
Sometimes it can be used as a sort of gentrifying tool. Be honest, a lot of neighborhoods, they come up with these colorful street art murals. People think it's really cool, take Instagram pictures, and all of a sudden the neighborhood becomes hot. The rents go up. So
thanks.
it can be. But I do appreciate a lot of the artistic value of some of the pieces. And that's what I got to say about that. And I'm sure Danny will say something else.
Bless your broken heart.
Well, I don't, listen, like, if I like it, I don't say because I feel bad sometimes. Because I want to be like, the shit sucks, fuck them.
Speak your mind, man.
But my thing is, I'm a vandal. I grew up, graffiti is not nice. Yeah! I'm sorry, graffiti's like hardcore. It's not supposed to be nice. If I want to listen to hardcore, I want to listen to Chromax. I want to listen to fucking, Saves the Day or anything like that. But that's so, because I like a lot of those bands. I like 30 Seconds to Mars. I love that shit. When I'm driving and shit, like, yeah, but if I want to smoke dust, I'll listen to Celtic Frost, Martin, rest in peace, for Celtic Frost. I'm listening to Celtic Frost, I'm listening to Chromax, Nasa Front, I'm going crazy. Carnivore, I'm killing people. You ever said that it's a certain accent?
Not smoking dust. Cold turkey now.
Cold turkey, yes. But I'm just saying, if I would smoke dust now. But let's get back to street art. It's cool, street art's cool and everything. But graffiti should be graffiti. It's like I see these artists, like they're like, oh, I'm a graffiti artist, and they have a protractor out and a glass tube blower. Like I'm like, oh, this goes to the piece. I'm like, shut the fuck up and do the filling. You can't do even throw up. These guys who do pieces, they can't do throw ups. It's disgusting.
Yeah!
Amen to that, man.
I want to say something.
Please.
Yeah!
Please. All right.
Please!
I don't feel quite as angry about the whole thing, but there's an absolute distinction. That is not graffiti. Just flat out. Graffiti is something no one ever asked permission to do, and they're not sitting. If somebody has like fucking 2 days to do a piece, it's gonna come out perfect. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think the thing with graffiti, trains, walls, highways, whatever, the shit was dangerous, and the whole main part of that made it like what everybody liked about it is like someone did that shit in a circumstance they weren't supposed to be able to do it.
Yes.
And if somebody is able to just fucking do it. It's like going to school and your mom gave you permission and fucking, you know, like all this bullshit. You know, it's like you're gonna win. You know what I mean? It's a fucking win. You know, it's like
and Q bombing the Hellgate.
Exactly. Exactly. Fucking sane bombing a helicopter at the heliport. You know what I mean? Like, which he did. In a fucking bubble of a, you know, helicopter. No one's asking permission. The weird thing about it is everybody's like, yo, how'd that get there? And that's what anybody ever cared about. Now it's like we're almost oversaturated with images. You know what I mean? Like, there's graffiti, there's fucking like, I don't know, skull paintings, there's, you know, like there's all these things that are all over the place. Flowers, you know, like there's...
Rainbow.
You know, you're just sort of like, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It has no meaning. You know, it's like, you look at hardcore and you look at, or the beginning of hardcore and the beginning of fucking graffiti and all this stuff. People did that because they felt the need to do it, and the time they were doing it in, no one cared. Because it was much fucking worse what everybody else was going through. You know, some kids sneaking in and fucking writing graffiti and they're like, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like someone playing music on the Lower East Side where no one wanted to go, they didn't care. But suddenly you fast forward 20, 25 years, 30 years, they're selling shit in a mall, you know, posters or fucking boots or, you know, like all these kinds of things. It's irrelevant, man. You know what I mean? It's like, it was relevant because it was part of a time. There's a lineage that goes with that. That's important. You know what I mean? Everybody's involved in this. Everybody cares about this for a reason. People are here for a reason, right? In this room right now. You know, it's like, people bombing, they're doing it for a reason. They're still doing it. SMOG had the best quote the other night. The best fucking quote. He's like...
Which one?
Oh, this one. Where he was like, they're doing solid fill-ins. What are they doing? Stopping time? How the fuck do you do that? You know what I mean? It's like fucking... And it's true, man. You know, it's like, you look at old fill-ins, you know, on something, they're like dusty, you know, kind of things with a quick thing, you know. And that was enough. You know what I mean? It was enough, you know. Yeah. You know, it's like... And people communicating to each other. You know what I mean? It wasn't for anybody else. Everybody else hated you. You know what I mean? They hated you anyway. You know what I mean? So fuck it. You know, but it's much larger than I ever thought it would be. You know, that the whole fucking world cares about graffiti. The whole world cares about hardcore, which is very weird when you think about it, because you're at like a fucking matinee at CB's in like, I don't know, 1986. You're just sort of like, the same people are there every fucking week. The girls got their lunch boxes. The guys are fucking walking around with Liberty spikes. You know, it's like, it's totally different. 2 years later, everybody's a skinhead. You know what I mean? And all these things sort of, we thought there were big changes. You know what I mean? Like, you go to, you know, the Ritz, right? You'd be at, like, the first Super Bowl. Yeah. And you go to the second one, you're like, oh, there's so many more people here now. How'd that fucking happen? You know, where are they coming from? They're multiplying, you know? It was wild, you know? No one ever expected it to be important. And I think that's the real thing. No one ever expected to make an impact outside of the people that cared about it that they already knew. You know? So that's my thought on it.
Alright, so real quick, I got one thing to say, and then I got one last question for you all to do. From my own experience, I grew up as a kid, like, I fiended for everything that New York hardcore. I was also a hip-hop kid. I grew up on hip-hop real early. And when we started getting these records coming out of New York, when you saw, like, the Outburst 7-inch with the graph on it, like, that shit spoke to us. And I think that's why, being from an East Coast city, you know, I jumped right on it. The synthesis between hip-hop, hardcore, graffiti, all these subcultures coming together was perfect for me. And that's due to guys like you, all you guys. So musically, it was huge. Visually, it was a huge impact on not just us, but it went all, as you know, went all over the fucking world. That's my statement. That's my thank you to you guys. Now, my last question is for everyone, and I don't want nobody to implicate themselves, but best beef story. Go.
I've got none, so I'll pass it on to these guys.
You don't gotta name no names.
I'm not. Smog's got. I know Smog's got.
That's pretty much what I figured.
Well, I used to be down with MPC. I still am. That's Cap's crew and my head Morris Park crew. Yeah.
The Bronx.
They went over everyone.
Yeah, they went over everyone. But it was weird because I started going over Cope and PJ, and it's kind of like a conflict of interest because they were kind of like MPC, and we just started stomping them, and then before you know it, Ghost goes to jail, Reese is nowhere to be found, and I'm kind of like left holding the bag, you know. I'm like, and all of a sudden they find out where I live. I'm like, wow, how the fuck that happened? So I wish, and I remember, I started getting all these postcards of people being shot in the mail. So I was like, oh, yeah, PJ and Coke, this is gonna be you. Want to shoot you up, motherfucker, going over our shit. And I'm like, all right. So they got my number and they know I live. All right, cool. What's gonna happen? You know, then they start stomping my shit. JA and I were going over them hard, and then before you know it, I'm gonna have to fight myself. Yeah, Saint. They went to Saint's house, and Saint's father's like this mad fucking carpenter, fucking chased them. And then Ven, they fucked. I don't know how they fucked over Ven, but they fucked over Ven good to the point where he was really like, you know, he was hurt by it to this day. Still fucking pissed about it. And, you know, then the next day I wake up with fillings on my house. I don't. So I was like, oh, lovely. Look at this. My fucking Senhol Colonial. I got fucking a Coke with a PJ on. And my mom's like, do you know anything about this? I'm like, well, I guess it's those letters we've been getting, Mom. So, and then all of a sudden they come, you know, and they come to my house. I was like, oh, yeah, thanks. You know, you guys did a nice job on my house here, you know. And we were gonna fight, but it ended up just getting squashed, I guess. I was in front of my house. I'm like, my mom's sitting there looking. It's like, Mom, you know, go back in. I got this.
You can't fight in front of Mom.
Yeah, so that was like that was like, and then we ran into U5 a few times, and they were like roaches, those guys back in the day. They were like everywhere. Fucking, we used to run into them in layups and run around, scurry on the train. Things like that. I was shot at the train. The one I did that Halloween car in your book. I mean, K-Pro just took off. Fucking. I was like, where the fuck you go? I was like, boof, windows are being shot. I hid under the train for like an hour. And I said, fuck this, I'm finishing this piece. And I ended up doing it by myself that night. But that was it. I think anyone's got fucking stories. I'm not going to implicate them, but I think someone here has many stories.
Just not to your right or anything like
No,
that.
you.
No. I got no stories.
Oh my.
No,
I remember one time, listen, I'm not saying the stories, there's a lot of stories, and I want to, I'm friends with these people now, I don't want to, like, embarrass anybody. So, but I remember a story had nothing to do with it, but we were kids, and we were on Northern Boulevard, and we were drinking, and we fucked someone up, and all of a sudden, I'm a Hoyer, this guy, and all of a sudden, we had beef with TA7. Now, I grew up with TA7, all Dominicans from my neighborhood. They're from, like, the border of Woodside, and from Jack's Heights. Yeah. So I grew up with these guys since I was kindergarten. Now I have beef with them because I'm cute, I had beef with them. So from kindergarten to, like 7th grade, I was best friends with these guys, and now they want to kill me. Yeah. So basically, we were standing, we fucked this kid up, we were young, we were like 19 years old.
Are we talking about the same kid?
Which one?
We're not going to mention, right?
Oh, you can mention his name. Was Psycho? No. No, that's another story. I hit him with a brick. I hit him with a brick.
No, he didn't hit him with a brick. He pulled him off the bike, and the kid said, no. And then he drives away, and he's like, fuck you. And he hit him with a fucking brick from like 2 blocks away. That shit, it fucking hit him back, and he's like, bing, bang, fucking fell off the fucking bike, you know. Like, this guy knows how to throw a baseball, man. Fucking, you know. I was like,
but it's not even that. That was nice.
Yeah, that was nice.
So we were talking. So they came back for the brick. They want revenge. So we're standing, and we fucked up someone. And all of a sudden, these poor Pisces, a guy from Mexico who's a hillbilly, like, you know, a Paisa.
Yeah.
So nice, working class, they just drink. You can rob them, and back in the 80s, you had all the money, so they fuck them up, they're drunk, but they'll fight you and take the belt out and hit you, kick you, like a flying kick.
Yeah.
But the Pisces are hanging out, and hey, so they're like, what's up, fuck DMS, ba. And I'm standing, they shot the 2 Pisces right next to me, I was like, oh shit. And I'm like, oh shit, that's for us. Like, oh shit, we're running out of like, niggas are shooting at us. They're trying to shoot me, but they shot the poor Paisa who worked all week. He just wanted to drink.
Got shot in the ass.
Got shot in the ass on the floor, and I'm like, yeah, peace, nigga, I'm out.
Do you remember that dude, Marek, who used to hang out with us?
Yeah.
So he calls me the next morning, and he's like, yo, I'm never hanging out at that bar again. I said, why? He goes, I got up this morning, my back was hurting. And I look at my jacket, and I got fucking 2 holes going through it. And I look at my back, the fucking bullet grazed him the whole way, across his whole fucking back. That's how stupid this shit was.
We were
you know what I mean?
retarded.
It's like, no, and you know, like, people got lucky. People got lucky. You know, that's some lucky ass shit. You know what I mean? It's like
a lot of stuff happened, and it would happen so fast, and
you just fucking didn't have time to.
and we were kids. We were finding men, bikers that 40 years old, like our age now, and we were fighting these men, and we were fucking them up. It was like it wasn't fighting. It was like fighting, almost kill, death. People were like sort of collapsed lungs, stabbing, no eye, taking people's eyes out. Fucking, it was. I did everything, but I had to.
No, and what he's bringing up is an interesting point, the same as what Smog brought up, is that none of this stuff was like going to a hardcore show or going writing graffiti in a layup, wherever. You were always on your own, and it was always fucking dangerous. You know what I mean? It's like, and it really was dangerous. And that's, I think, a lot of people don't get that, which is probably a big part of why people are like, fuck these muralists. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, yo, we want to do something. We weren't bad people. And fucking some motherfuckers like trying to rob your paint and shooting at you. Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, and it's true. It was, you know, you always hear, you know, things, yo, that dude Disco, he got his fucking throat cut by FK. You know what I mean? Like at 175th layup. You know, and all these things were true. They weren't rumors. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, okay, good to know. You know what I mean? It's like, it was like, don't go there at certain times. You know,
our neighborhood, like in our neighborhood, the shit with Jackson Heights shit was crazy. Anyone from Queens here? Yeah. Make some noise, Queens.
Hey!
Like we were kids, like I'm trying to say it had graffiti, but just beef. So Knack was killed like 17 years old. And he was dragged, you know, like
that guy really went for it though, man.
Yeah, he was like these kids.
He was killed by the Colombian Mafia. They ran him over. He was hiding for 6 months before he got run over. You know what I mean? There was a contract on his life. You know.
But I'm saying, like, and he was like 16 years old.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We were like, I fought everyone. Risk, TMR, 78th Street Boys, TA7. Who else we had beef with?
Every fucking body.
We had so much beef, and they were like, "Oh, they're skinheads." I mean, people back then, they're like skinheads. They thought we were fucking Nazis, but we're all Puerto Rican and fucking like Muslim and Jewish. It was like, what the fuck is this? But it's like, I'm glad I can sit here and tell you people the crazy stories. If you have a kid, don't let them do graffiti. It's a gateway to being a criminal. You have a kid, don't let them smoke weed. It's a gateway to doing drugs.
Weed is nice.
And so don't let them watch MTV. They'll be fucked up for the rest of his life. That's it. No, that's all.
My man here has, I'm sure, has some stories.
Well, I mean, you know, if it wasn't for crews, it was the cops too. You had to look out for the cops, and you had your boys to look out for the cops as you were putting up pieces and whatnot. And then you don't want to go to the wrong neighborhood and shit and throw up a piece, and then you get beat up by the crews and other cats that are within that block and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, big time.
So I guess if anybody out there's got any questions,
Now's the time.
now is the time. The time is now.
I got a question for JERE.
Yeah.
I don't think
Your connection with skateboarding and like the whole fucking scene.
Oh.
I wanted to ask that the last time, but I didn't get a chance to.
Right on.
So, actually, that's funny. That's a good question because that literally probably was the bridge between graffiti and hardcore for me. You know, because
Same with me, man.
yeah, you know, like suddenly you're like, someone's like, I want to skateboard, and you're watching somebody do that, and no one did that either. Everybody thought they were like ridiculous people. What are these people doing? You know, if you wanted a pair of Vans, you had to order them through the mail. You know what I mean? It's like they were $35. You know, it like took 2 weeks to come from California. You know, it's like, but skateboarding was another thing. It like defying gravity. It wasn't like this little plastic fucking board. You know, like, people were doing great things, and you're just like, wow, that's amazing. You know, if you were bored and it just rained, you'd go down a hill and power slide the whole fucking way, you know, in the summertime, because there's an oil slick, you know what I mean, or jumping off cars, or whatever you gotta do, or, you know, the banks, where you're just fucking flying into oncoming traffic and thought that was normal, you know what I mean, like, yeah, it's skateboarding, you know, it's like, and skateboarding was amazing. I fucking loved it. It introduced me to a lot of things, especially going back to what Smog was talking about, California stuff. You know, like, it was really kind of attached to that sort of suicidal graffiti sort of scene.
That's all gang shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you're looking at this weird style, which I don't like. You know, like that weird square style. I didn't get it. I still don't like it. But, you know, because New York had it. It really did. But the thing about skateboarding was, there was no place in New York City to, you know, go do like, you know, Pal Peralta 28-mile run downhill. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, everything
We
was...
had skate parks back then.
Yeah, no, there was no skate park, man. They would chase you out of the fucking park. You know what I mean? It was like, And you do all these things, you'd be skating somewhere and, you know, getting in trouble and someone's breaking a fucking window or whatever and you're like 12 years old. But the first day, I mean, this kid goes to me, he goes, "You want to see me do a wall ride?" I was like, "Get the fuck out of here." I was like, literally, a wall ride. I'm going to ride on a wall. Like, yeah. And he did it, and I was like, I quit. I fucking quit. I was like, I'm never going to learn how to do that shit. He fucking rode down the wall. I was like, I'm smoking weed. I'm sitting on this board. I'm fucking done. You know, it's like fucking... So, but skating, an amazing thing to watch. I still, to this day, there's, you know, they're totally interconnected. You know, graffiti, skating, hardcore, rap, all that shit. That's another thing I want to bring up. Hip-hop is a lot of stuff, right? That's an umbrella. You know, there's like, I think about it as rap, breakdancing, and fucking, you know, like, you know, graffiti. That's hip-hop. You know, like, rap somehow stole that shit. They were like, no, we're hip-hop. Like, no, it's a New York thing. You know what I mean? And it was a lot, it had nothing to do with music necessarily. It had to do with a youth movement that was happening that was organic.
It's a culture.
Yeah. But no one was in charge of it. It was growing all on its own. It was like a fucking virus. You know what I mean? It's like fucking...
We were like...
Huh? Sure, absolutely.
Come on, FC. It's FC,
Do
everybody.
it. Do it. He's in the book.
He's in the book.
So, back then skating, right? Like, we're talking like 86, 87 in New York City. I was never accepted. Like, you know, I tried to get with a nice girl. She's like, you know, looking at me
Because you had a toy with you. And you brought your skateboard.
No, it's nothing changed, man.
Don't listen to him. He's being mean.
That ain't right.
Let the man speak. Let the man speak.
A little cocaine helps too. You know?
FC's doing okay now, right?
He's not. He doesn't have a mic. Finish what you're saying.
So, all the skaters in my community weren't accepted. We were hated by everyone.
Right.
And I mean everyone.
Yeah.
And when I tapped into the New York City hardcore scene, we were all of a sudden accepted. You know, like, there was no bigotry. There was, like, you know, if you skated, you were the fucking man. You
Right.
know what I mean?
But no, it was all connected. You know, it really was like you found your home.
Absolutely, I found my home.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're all fucking misfits. That's what hardcore is.
Exactly. Exactly. It
Come on,
really is
man.
that.
We're not fucking lacrosse. Players in hardcore. Maybe fucking youth of today, and maybe youth of
Oh!
Once again, he said that. Who else got a question?
That was a good question.
That was a great question.
Joe? Is that Joe back there?
Yeah, Joe's here.
You want him to ask a question? Tell Joe.
Any questions?
Yeah, there's one all the way back.
Where? Who's that? All right.
Don't be shy.
Yo, so Benny, relay the message. Relay the message.
I was at the event Friday, and you guys were talking about freight trains. You got hip on freight.
Something about freight train.
Yeah, you said you said the event on Friday. You're not hip on phrase.
I just did a freight 2 nights ago.
Yeah, you did. You saw that.
Killed it. No, seriously.
You got a train in Maryland.
What happened? What about? Tell me what's going on. What's the question?
Martin felt the cross. Why'd you do that one?
Because of Benny, the Dominican Puerto Rican right there, and the white crazy guy Joe with the glasses wanted to come to my house and do graffiti. So I came home, I did graffiti. I came home, my girlfriend was drunk, yelled at me, said I was cheating on her. I was with a fucking ugly Dominican and an ugly white guy over there. But the reason why I did freights, because I'm a criminal. Now it's like say, you leave a whole bunch of stuff out there. Don't touch the thing. And I'm like, you know, it's just I'm Puerto Rican. I steal shit. That's what happens. It's in my blood.
Doing freights is like going to CVS and not paying for like one of the items. That's what.
Yes. That's it.
That's what it's like. You know, you pay for like a few items, like you buy your paint, and then you're like, you know, fuck this candy bar. It's going in the bag. That's what freights is, all right? And when you reach an age, you know, you don't fuck. I don't want to run over a fucking fence at my age. I mean, you know, so your freight's nice. You know, it's a nice. It's like a golf for fucking graffiti.
Shit.
Golf for graffiti artists, exactly.
I can't know how to smile. Thank you.
That was beautiful. That was poetic.
Any more questions?
Anybody?
Any questions?
Because Danny wants to play.
Danny wants to sing.
I really don't want to sing, so.
Right on.
Oh, God.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. This has been very insightful. Freddie wants to say one last thing, and then we'll rock the fuck out.
Yes.
Well,
Steve's touched on that before. Say it one more time about the books.
so yeah, we as a company had a little problem with customs. Right now, the bulk of the books are sitting in customs. We're waiting for them to come.
Where's you shipping from?
China.
Oh, Warren. Warren, we need help.
Once again, he said that, not us.
Get out of here.
So again, if you weren't able to get a book tonight, you can always get a copy through our website. It's DiWulf, DiWulf.com. You can order it. We're going to try and set something up where if you can come back out, we'll get Freddy and everybody to come sign them. We'll get you a signed copy somehow. This is on us, the publishers. They say Freddy's fault, so blame us. We are very sorry, but we got Crown of Thorns for you. So. You go to buy records.
I also have some of these lovely shirts I'm wearing here. Sizes medium to extra large. I'll sell them in the back. Come see us. Thank you, everyone on the panel.
Thank you,
JERE, Chucky Brown, Danny Diablo, SMOG. Thank you for DiWulf for putting this on together. Steve and Amy. Thank you all for coming down. And Dijon is getting ready to play Rock the House.
Wait, and thank
What's
you
up?
for Freddy.
Oh, come on.
For putting this whole thing together. Yeah, get the fuck.
Listen, everyone, this guy right here is from Jackson Heights, Queens. We're not all dumb like me. This guy's a well-educated, well-spoken young man. Tell you right here, this guy right here, fucking, he's thank God this guy's doing this, and this is a part of history, and you guys can know what the fuck happened, because always do your research, bro. You know what I mean? I know computers, you can do all shit, but read a fucking book. All right? Read a fucking book. Urban Styles, Freddy Alva.